Welcome to the Love Spark podcast. We are your hosts, Tonya
and Stevi Maveros.
If you want to hear a Midwest millennial couple talk through real practice and exploration of relationship tools and resources,
and if you appreciate a bit of authentic and vulnerable commentary along the way,
then the Love Spark podcast is for you. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you are listening, as well as give us a 5-star rating and letting us know what you learned. It really helps out the show.
Also, don't forget to visit the website, milovespark.com, to check out upcoming events, workshops, and opportunities to ask us questions.
You can also follow us at Love Spark Dates on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, let's dive into this week's chapter of The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work by Dr. John Gottman and Nan Silver. Welcome back to another episode of the Love Spark podcast. We are happy to wrap up our 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work season with our final chapter here.
Really, the final chapter is basically the afterword in the book with some additional follow-up activities, but also I feel like it will be a good rundown from us of what we liked, maybe what we didn't like, but basically our overall thoughts about the process.
Yeah, for sure. So, first, let's go into the book. Do you have a passage for us, my love?
As always, of course I do.
But of course.
Mm-hmm. So this is the first part of the first paragraph in the afterword. It's not even a chapter. It's an afterword.
Mm-hmm.
No book or therapist can solve all of your marital problems, but learning the 7 principles really can change the course of your relationship. Even making just a small and gentle shift in the trajectory of your marriage can have a dramatic, positive effect over time.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I think I really like that because I think sometimes that when people do personal development work, right, whether that's with a book, a workbook, or if they even go into therapy, I think sometimes there's this thought that it's going to solve your problems. It's going to solve all of your problems. And the truth is that one, we know that 69% of problems are not solvable. But two,
True.
the truth is that just like your money, life is a journey. And so there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. You may have good tools and skills that you utilize for a while, and then maybe there's a little bit of a relapse, or maybe the problem shifts and changes as you shift and change, whether that's becoming new parents, empty nesting, having your own personal level of growth in comparison to your partner. So I think it's just, I liked this because it's a reminder that even if you do the work yourself, you're not going to solve all your problems. No book is going to do that. And not even a therapist can solve all your marital problems. And so it's really a matter of learning new tools and skills to help mitigate.
Yes.
Or navigate.
Yes. Yeah, I think, that is one of the key things to take away from this is that small changes make a difference, and you really can make some major changes through minor shifts in the way you approach things, the way you look at things, the way you respond to things, and I think that, the way this chapter even talks about like the magic 6 hours, like it really is just an accumulation of little things.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things that I love to say. So I don't even know if he got this, if he created this, or he got this somewhere else, but I used to listen to Sean Croxton, who does Quotes of the Day. I don't think that's what his podcast is called, but anyway. And one of the things he would always say is little by little becomes a lot, which is very true. And when you really look at us as people, we drastically overestimate what we can do in a short period of time,
Hmm.
but really underestimate what we can do over a longer period of time,
Oh, so
right?
true.
And I think like the perfect example that I always use, and I just feel like everybody relates to it, is New Year's, right? Everybody talks about going to have a New Year's resolution. And a lot of times it seems to be getting healthy, getting fit, or whatever. And so people really try to lose a lot of weight in a short period of time. So, like, let's say January through March or something, right?
Right.
Whereas when you really think about it, a lot of times people don't hit that goal. And if they do, they don't maintain it. Whereas if you think about, okay, what if I just did 1 pound every single week? That's 52 pounds in a year.
True.
But we are very, I think that we're not really hardwired for long term thinking. And then, especially when we look at society with like everything is microwavable, right? Everything
Hmm.
is instantaneous from, searching to, you have a question? Let me just search this in my pocket on Google.
Convenience.
Yeah, you're hungry, throw something in a microwave and it's made for you 2 minutes later. So I think that it's important for people to recognize, especially when doing relationship work, that it does take work, but it also, you're going to accomplish so much more over a longer period of time than what you can do in a shorter period of time.
Truth.
Little by little
Truth.
becomes a lot.
Absolutely.
One last thing from the book, it says, we find that successful, uh, okay, so they were talking about people who've taken the workshops, and it says,
Mm.
would we find that the successful group had dramatically overhauled their lives? Far from it. To our surprise, we discovered that they were devoting only an extra 6 hours a week to their marriage.
Oh.
Okay, but here's my favorite part about this
Mm.
is I'm sure, because I said an extra 6 hours a week, people are like, oh my God, how would I do that? Barely have time to take a shower. I don't know.
Right.
I'll tell you, we're going to tell you how.
Yeah, it genuinely is, as we've been saying, the little things. Okay, so the last activities in the workbook reference, one of the last activities in the workbook references the magic 6 hours, and it breaks it into 6 different parts. So, parting. Develop a ritual to make your partings extra special. When saying goodbye, make sure to spend 2 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So 10 minutes. Reunion. Stress reducing conversation at the end of each workday. 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Easy.
Well, the other thing is too is that in that 20 minutes, because we did talk about this in earlier chapters, right? Where you give your partner 20 minutes to vent and you basically say nothing, you just let them get it all out and vice versa. So
Mm-hmm.
you could still do that, which would be optimal, but if like you really are short on time, it could be 10 minutes each,
Yeah,
right? And that gives you your 20 minutes right there.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And then adding admiration and appreciation. Communicate genuine appreciation for your partner. Spend 5 minutes doing this every day, 7 days a week. That's pretty simple. Maybe you put it as part of your dinner time ritual or add it into your bedtime ritual. It's a pretty easy habit to develop if it's not already part of your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Affection. Touch, hold, and kiss your partner 5 minutes a day, 7 days a week. That should be fairly simple. Even just cuddling on the couch, holding hands, that counts.
Mm. But also, you should definitely throw in a 6 second kiss, as Dr. Gottman talks about.
Yes, as they did reference in earlier chapters, at least a 6 second kiss in that 5 minutes a day certainly boosts a lot of things. Okay, date night. Schedule a date night lasting a minimum of 2 hours.
Ooh, a minimum
Minimum.
of 2 hours. I feel like that's pretty, but okay, hold on. First of all, let us be clear, the minimum of 2 hours does not include travel time.
Why not? That's great bonding time
I feel like
over music or
I
a
feel like it's
quick
I
podcast.
feel like travel time. I don't say that it includes travel time, and I'm pretty sure after watching some of the reels I've watched, I'd probably say Dr. Gottman would disagree with this, but I don't say that it includes travel time because I think that you're right. Great music, great conversation, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
I hear that, right?
but
But also at the same time, if we're traveling and driving, let me
mhm.
rephrase this. That 2 hours does not include drive time. Now, I will caveat this because, as we are well aware, living in the city, people drive like crazy. People drive
Mm.
crazy. It is very important to be aware of your surroundings and what you're doing. And I think sometimes that, especially if you've been in a space where you really haven't done a lot of good conversation or your conversations seem to go sideways, then just adding an additional distraction of having to pay attention to
Ah.
driving might not be helpful. So,
Mm.
like, if you are people on the metro or you're taking the bus, then I would say, okay, fine, you can count that.
Or staying home.
Or staying home, that's fine. But I would say, like, if you're actually having to drive to places, I wouldn't necessarily count it just because of all
Mm.
the other distractions that can occur
Okay.
while traveling as a driver.
I say it's up for discussion as an individual couple
Fair enough.
because I feel like it would depend on where we were going,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like if we were going to the shuffle, we're not talking on the way to the shuffle. It's a shit show and a half trying to get there from here.
That's true.
It's not even that it's a difficult drive with the construction, the people, the other cars.
It's a hot mess.
It's a mess. Yes. But like if we were gonna go up to Jake's, I would totally count that because
Mm-hmm.
like music, chill, straight shot, no traffic.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyway,
So situational dependent.
right.
Fair
Or
enough.
depending on how you agree as a couple.
Okay. The other thing that we're going to talk about on this date night thing as a person. So, for those of you that don't know, LoveSpark initially started as a date planning service for couples and even for like singles going on their first date who may have been a little nervous or whatever. But we originally started as a date planning service. And the one thing that I heard constantly, I was going to say perpetually, but the one thing I heard constantly is we just don't have time for going on a date together.
Mm.
And um
This does say 2 hours once a week,
yes,
every week.
yes. And here's the thing, love me or hate me, I'm calling bullshit on all you people that are like, we can't do it. Now, granted, I understand that in our society today, we must understand that there are some people who have privilege and who don't. But for my general people, I'm still calling bullshit on this because what I found was in date planning that a vast majority of times, and the people who say we don't have time for this, were usually parents. Okay.
Right.
Um, and what I found in conversation of these parents is that they were putting the children's everything above their relationship. And when I'm saying like everything, I'm talking like these are parents that have like three kids who are in three intramural sports plus another sport on another day. And then they have to travel them all over the place and do all these different things, which is great for the children. But are we doing this to the sacrifice of our relationship? Right? As a person who is not religious but spiritual, one thing that I will say that I do agree with when it comes to a vast majority of religions is a lot of them look at the relationship between the parents as the foundational component to the family.
I mean, it really
I mean, it
is.
is, right? And so I would challenge you, instead of saying, we can't, I can't, we're too busy, I would challenge you is to recognize that your relationship is the foundation to your family. And if you're not
Mhm.
nurturing that foundation, you're doing a disservice to your family.
Mhm.
Kind of like your kids, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, heck, if you can't afford a babysitter and you can't get away, tell your kids that it's date night and it's their job to give you the best date night possible by bringing you, drinks, or, you can incorporate them, pull them into it if that's what you have to do,
mhm,
but make sure that you take time to at least make the two of you and the relationship the absolute focus.
mhm.
Even if the kids have to be part of it,
Oh my
it's
God, you could teach them to
still,
play butler.
well, I
Yeah,
mean,
like what is it? Joffrey, Batman's butler. Is that what his name is? I don't know. Listen,
no,
kids,
not
depending on the
Alfred.
age,
It's
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 Alfred.
Alfred. It's not even remotely close.
Depending on the age, the kiddos can learn to play a new game.
Joffrey.
I don't know where
No one's butler has ever been named Joffrey
there has
ever.
been, I swear. Oh my God, was that the
Giles.
was it Fresh Prince's butler was Joffrey? Maybe.
I
Anyway, point being is I
mm,
really do like that. That's actually a really good idea. Like, how can you incorporate the kids in a
play
way,
restaurant.
but they can't talk to you? That's the important part.
Well, no,
Just like
they
your
have
wait
to
staff, they don't come
stay
hang out with
they
you and
have
eat.
to stay in the kitchen and
Mm-hmm.
make you peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And one has to serve them on plates, and somebody has to bust the table, and then they have to play dishwasher,
Mm.
and they have to, clean the restaurant at the end of the night and play closing down the restaurant.
Ooh, but also, can we just talk about what I think is going to be super cool about like if you had to do it this way,
Mm,
is that your kids get to see you spending quality time together.
right. And especially if you spend time like making sure to compliment each other or to discuss important household things like talking about, the grocery budget, or, how you're gonna find a date to go to the family barbecue
Mm-hmm.
with with the grandparents or whatever it is,
Yeah,
right? But I think that being able to show your kids what those conversations look like, and even to do it in that sort of very intentional, kind of almost scripted way, like what a great experience for all of you, because
mm-hmm.
it keeps everyone on track,
Yeah,
right? Like it is scripted, so you already have an idea of where you're going with it, but it allows you to have a calm conversation and focus on you and your partner, while showing your kids what it's like to focus on you and
yeah,
your partner and have adult conversations that are appropriate for them to hear, obviously.
obviously, yeah. Uh, Also, if you flirt with each other at the table, they get to see what
Mhm.
that looks like, even though they're like, ugh, gross. But that's still stuff that they learn that seeps into
Yeah.
their subconscious.
Compliment each other. Take time to show appreciation.
One thing that I think also people should be very well aware of is, so in talking about the seven principles at a couple of speaking engagements I have done, I was questioned as to, well, is this just normal people, like people with money? And so it's important to recognize that when we talk about the seven principles were created out of research,
Mhm.
and research for this means they observed couples of all statuses,
Mhm.
between
Every
sexual
demographic.
orientations, between religions and race and socioeconomic status. And these are the things that are in all good relationships, no matter what the status
Mhm.
is. So I think that's really important too.
Exactly, exactly. It's important to keep in mind that all of these factors are consolidated based off of a myriad of different lifestyles, right? The 6 hours looks different for every couple,
Hmm.
but it happens in
Hmm.
these successful couples,
Yeah.
right? Which I do, speaking of, I do want to finish. The very last category is the State of the Union meeting. Meet an hour a week to talk about your relationship, specifically to talk about your relationship. So that means, how have I made you happy this week?
Mm.
What's something that you needed me to work on based on how this week played out? It's taking the time to do that. And if you're going to make that part of date night, then fine. But now date night has to be 3 hours long. Right.
Also, the other thing too, to circle back to date night, is the other thing that I found in planning dates for couples,
Mm.
um, gentlemen.
Hmm.
This is specifically for you or my gentleman leaning people.
Mask cleaning.
Yes. Uh, one, your women don't want to keep going to the same restaurant all the time. Okay.
Truth. Truth.
Two, yes, you can have conversations about your kids, but I would also encourage you to find other questions to ask your partner, um, because that was one of the things that was relayed to me, especially
Mm.
from women, is that they felt frustrated
Mm.
that they went to the same place, they ate the same meal, they really didn't actually have any conversation because it was always the same stuff.
Yeah.
And so, if you are looking for conversation starters, head to our social channel because we've been starting to add Friday conversations for date nights, right? Some great
Absolutely.
questions that you can ask each other, and then that can allow you to expand on those as well. But yeah,
Love
so
Spark dates on
Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
all three.
Yes.
Boom.
But yeah, or you could have a state of the meeting on your date night,
Truth. Truth.
which I appreciate that.
And there's also, a number of things in the podcast that we've talked about as far as discussion points
Mm-hmm.
and things to discuss, and, you know, gathering more context for each other's histories, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe understanding the heart of some of your ongoing never-ending conflicts a little bit better by diving into the whys and the past and the what triggers and who, instilled that idea or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of resources out there for you to get a better understanding and have deeper conversations.
I think that's when we look at it, instead of I think, let me rephrase this. I know, okay? I know that really what it comes down to is being intentional about your relationship,
Yes.
which is one of the reasons that Love Spark was created, is because we want to bring intentionality to the relationship. And sometimes that means maybe doing quote unquote the work just by asking different questions or by learning more about your partner than really what you thought you knew. And especially as you've been together longer and you get into
Mhm.
a routine and you know their quirks and their habits and their behaviors, it can become easy to forget that they are still always changing as people and that each experience, you know, can alter them in some way, shape, or form.
On that note, let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
of these 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
we don't spend the 2 minutes a day parting. How do you feel about that? Would you prefer if I woke you up for 2 full minutes before leaving in the morning? Or do you
Let
feel
me
like
ask
we,
you, would you prefer that I wake you up for 2 full minutes at 5:45 in the morning?
I mean, No, but I'm just asking if it bothers you or if you feel like we make up for it throughout the day. I was just curious
I
in the
don't have
spirit of what we're talking about,
You're like,
just to be
would you
clear.
like me to wake you up? And my brain was like, girl, what? No,
Well,
don't fucking wake me up to tell me what you got going on for the day. I love you, but no. I will say though,
was today enough or too
I,
much
what are you talking about?
when I woke you up to say goodbye?
No, that was fine. No, the
Okay.
problem, okay. But here's the thing. So this is the one thing about this in the workbook that it actually isn't very specific based upon the
Mm,
book, because the book basically said that you should learn about one thing that your partner has going on for the day before you part ways.
mm.
And so I don't mind that you wake me up to say goodbye, but please don't wake me up to tell me 2 minutes of what you got going on for the day. Send that in a text message or tell me before we go to bed, which I feel like we actually do a really good job of that
Oh,
at
yeah.
night. We kind of talk about what's coming up for tomorrow and
Yeah,
whatever.
we prepare
Yeah.
for the next day
Girl,
because
no,
whoever gets up first is definitely not supposed to wake the other person up.
definitely not.
Yeah, agreed. I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think the other thing is too is like it's really just trying to encourage engagement and discussion. And so like
Yeah.
if it's something like if you are up together and maybe you have breakfast together, that's a great time to do that. But if your schedules are very much opposite, then you probably may need to make that time in the evening hours as you prepare for bed. So,
Yeah, like we said, this is consolidated off of numerous lifestyles,
mhm.
and this is the most generalized format that
Mhm.
could be found throughout all of that. So always keep in mind that, like we always talk about, sometimes you have to adjust things to make it make sense for you,
Mhm.
right? Like for me, a lot of things that are biologically based, I kind of have to follow more my instinct of where I fall in line versus what my actual biological sex is because it doesn't always align clearly,
Mhm.
right? I think we've said before, I would be happy to do a brain scan to see if I actually have an androgynous or masculine leaning brain
Yeah.
because it would be very interesting to know. But you have to adjust these things to yourselves. And if that 6 hours all has to happen on the one day a week where you actually get to see each other and spend time together, and you spend just that one, half day nonstop together because that's what you can manage in your lifestyle, okay. But try to make sure that you're hitting all of these things, that you're having a good hello when you see each other, that you're talking, having a stress reducing conversation about your woes from the week or from the last time bit of time since you last spoke. Show appreciation for each other. Make sure to show affection for each other. Make sure to talk about your relationship.
Mhm.
Even if it all has to be done in one shot, at least make sure that you're talking about the things that are important. And those are the things that are scientifically backed, important for you to talk about every single week. So make time for it.
Yeah.
Make it a habit.
Okay.
However, that habit has to be integrated into your life.
Very true. Very, very true. So let's what do you say about wrapping up and just kind of giving our overall assessment about the seven principles and the work that we did
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So what are your thoughts?
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was really good, like really nice to have some very clear steps to follow and some very clear questions to ask. And I feel like I was actually kind of surprised at how much I learned about you because I feel like we talk so much and we're so open with each other that we don't there's nothing that we don't know about each other, but of course there's things we don't know about each
Mm-hmm.
other, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think we kind of simultaneously hold those beliefs without really examining it too closely.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was actually really nice to have some direct ways to show curiosity, because while I remain curious about you, I don't know that I'm always approaching it the most productive way.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed that part of it.
Mm. Okay. I would say I could see here's here's one thing I think that would be really cool is to like circle back to this a year from now or 2 years from now,
Mm.
just to see what's changed, what's shifted, if anything, or what other answers could your partner give you, right? That you may not
Hmm.
have known about. Um,
Fair.
the other thing too, which I think is really cool, is that you could really ultimately open up a lot of these areas and ask some of the questions, some of the deeper probing questions at any point in time, right?
Absolutely.
Um, but I thought I think for me personally, I find it super helpful because I like the why. I like to know the why behind things. Why are we doing it
Mm.
this way? Why do you think that? Whatever, right? Um, but in doing the work, I like that the why is because it has been researched,
Yeah.
right? Because let's be honest, how much bad advice have we all gotten from
Ugh.
people? Right. And
So
like there's
much
some
bad
advice that you
advice.
can hear it and like inside your
Mm.
brain, you're like, whatever, that is never happening. Right.
So true.
But then there's some advice that you go, oh, well, yeah, maybe. And then when you either try to utilize it or put it into practice, it just doesn't work.
Or
And
all throughout my early 20s, you repeat it to someone else and they go, that's fucked up. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I didn't think about it like that.
yeah, right. And so I really like the fact that they have taken the time to really kind of distill what are the action steps that healthy relationships have,
Yeah.
especially if you've come from a space where if you grew up in a two parent household and maybe it wasn't healthy, or maybe you grew up in a single parent household. So I really like that it's there's science behind it. And I also like it tells me what to do because fucking
Yeah.
life is hard. And sometimes I don't want to have to think that damn hard.
Oh my gosh, right?
Tell me the things to do and I'll do them. Maybe. Mostly.
Yeah.
It depends on what it is. But the point is,
Depends on how much you believe in it.
but the point is it tells you what you should do to
Yes.
help facilitate a healthy relationship.
Gives a lot of direction,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I also really liked, I think that it manages to find a way to kind of handhold you through how to not be an asshole, if that's something that you struggle with.
That's fair.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
mean, there are definitely, I mean, for example, was it last week when I think probably within 4 hours was like, hey, I'm really sorry I came at you sideways earlier because I had kind of out of nowhere just made a fairly hostile statement. And that's not a soft startup. And that was dickish behavior and uncalled for. And,
Mm,
we all have our moments,
mm-hmm.
but even like knowing that, always knowing that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
having worked through this, I feel like I just recognized it for what it was a lot
Mm-hmm.
quicker,
Yeah.
right? Even if I felt like I had a point, I recognized why it didn't really matter if I had a point, because I really approached it the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I was able to acknowledge my part in that portion of the conflict much quicker than I think I would have before doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
But I do in general just really like that it walks you through some, I mean, even the way they talk about how to talk about money with your partner, they
Mm-hmm.
really handhold you through how to have this conversation in a way that keeps it calm and measured and not escalating into conflict. So
Mhm.
I do really appreciate that it gives a lot of good approaches for those
Mhm.
harder conversations and more delicate conversations that tend to provoke more emotional response.
Mhm. Yeah. I also like as a sciencey person, I do really like how it also dives into your physiology
Mm,
and what really
mhm.
happens to your body when you are under stress. And because we know that some conversations can be stressful.
Right.
And the other thing that I will say that I do appreciate about this book is that I like that it clearly identifies and defines the difference in physiology between men and women.
Yeah.
And whether, you know, let's be honest, we can all do the things, but there is your body is your body and it responds the way that it responds. And
Yeah.
sometimes, from an evolutionary perspective, there's a reason for that. We're not going to get into it. But I just like that it identifies the difference. And I think in some ways, I think I like it because having been married to a man,
Mhm.
there are a lot of times like, what the fuck ever. And I'll be rolling my eyes and be like, shut the fuck up. I don't even believe that shit. But now it makes sense, right? It makes sense why men are less likely to bring up
Mm,
difficult conversations because
yeah.
for them, their bodies do become much more flooded or more activated
Yeah,
in times of stress like that. So I do appreciate that as well because I think it's important to understand what's going on in your body, but
definitely.
you should also be able to understand what potentially is going on in your partner's body and maybe why having a difficult conversation is not working out for you,
Yeah.
you know?
Very helpful. Very helpful for sure.
Yeah.
I hear that.
So I would say, as we have said before, this work can be useful for couples in crisis if you are working with a licensed counselor or therapist and they're guiding you through with the rest of the techniques that they have.
True.
However, I do like this for couples who might need a little bit of a TLC for their relationship,
Yeah.
or maybe it is they're just looking to level up a little bit. You don't even have to be in like a bad state. You could just do it to level up.
Yeah, if you just feel maybe a little bored or,
Stagnant.
yeah, stagnant, it's a great way, I think, to challenge your relationship in some ways because it forces you to examine if you've asked certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really healthy. I mean, they talk about that, there at the end about how much more rewarding a relationship is when you demand more from it.
Ooh,
So if things are
yes.
feeling,
Let's throw
calm
that
and
in there.
chill,
I highlighted that too. Look at us.
oh, it's a
Same mind.
beautiful part.
So in the book, it says Donald Bauckham, sorry if I mispronounced his name, of the University of North Carolina has debunked the idea by studying couples' standards and expectations of each other. And so some people believe the more you let slide or the lower expectations you hold for your relationship, it'll be fine. It'll be much more healthier. And
Mm,
instead, it says, he has found that people with the greatest expectations for their marriages usually wind up with the highest quality marriages. This
yes.
suggests that by holding your relationship to high standards, you are far more likely to achieve the kind of marriage you want than you are by looking the other way and letting things slide.
Amen. Hallelujah.
So the question is what kind of marriage or relationship do you want?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to be fulfilled and feel close to your partner long term throughout the years, forever and ever, then do the work. Everyone says relationships are work, and I always say that, like, our relationship is work. It's just not hard work. Like, it's
Yeah.
enjoyable work
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, we've been pretty annoying to each other this year, but it's been a rough it's been a rough couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, fair enough. But
Uh
go
And
ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, so one of the things that a little bit of a preview of what's coming up, we are going to be doing a mini season, which will be 4 to 6 episodes of just some casual conversations about things that have popped into our head. And so we had some conversations. And then our second season is actually going to be around money. We're going to talk about talking about
Yes.
money. And with the resource that we're going to use is the I Will Teach You to Be Rich journal by Ramit Sethi. He has a Netflix show, which is, I think it's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And the book is fabulous, and the journal is really cool too.
Mm,
There's a lot of reasons. We'll dive into why we picked it and all those different things. But one thing to keep
yes.
in mind is that as we move through this, you will probably hear us reference back to the 7 principles and how having money or financial conversations can be integrated within those 7 principles as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So keep us in mind. We can't wait to see you next time on the Love Spark podcast.
Indeed. Before we sign off, here is an upcoming opportunity from LoveSpark. Join us at Lansing Pride on June 27th from 1 to 9 p.m., and we'll have a special release just for Pride.
Once again, we want to thank all of our fabulous listeners for joining us this week on the Love Spark podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Along with subscribing, please remember to visit us at milovespark.com, follow us at LovesparkDates on Instagram and Facebook, and join us again next week for another fabulous episode.
Indeed.